My name is Laura, and this is my masonry experience, putting stone over top of brick on the front of my house. So join me in the adventure that was weeks and weeks of effort towards resurfacing the front of my house. I love it so much more now. Okay friends, so today's the day. We're getting started. The weather did not get the memo that I'm working outside today. It's raining and our gutters haven't been replaced yet from the storm that happened last summer. They were pulled off a couple weeks ago and should be put on in a week or a year, whatever works best. So anyhow, we're supposed to be putting stone, and by we I mean me, on the house today, and truth is, you can do it in the rain, especially because I've got a little overhang from my roof line. So it'll be a little bit wet, but I cannot wait to get this project started. So, quick view of where we are at. We got the garage here. I'm gonna put stone everywhere that you see brick. So there's quite a bit of brick to do here. And then we've got this whole side wall. It's all my stone, ready to go. A little bit of accent by the front door, and then this underneath portion. So we're just hoping the rain slows down a little bit and I get some days of sunshine to get this party rolling. So this is the mortar mix that I get from Menards for doing all my stone projects. I used it for our retaining wall around our pool, and when I redid the fireplace last fall, I'm going to use it again because, hey, it works. It's also pretty inexpensive, and I use it for setting the stone and also for the grout. So it's dual purpose, which I like. So that's what we will use for our mortar. I am trying this bonding additive for the first time. I didn't use it with any of our other projects, but according to the wonderful people over at Cascade Stone that I buy my stone from, they think that this would make it adhere faster and better. So I'm gonna give it a try. Maybe it would be magic, like magical super glue. We'll see. We'll give it a shot this time. Important feature to mention is that when working with concrete, you can get chemical burns. I didn't know that was a real thing working with concrete. I thought we were just like rubbing our hands raw working with it on our first project we did, but literally it was eating away at our skin. It was terrible, and it was so incredibly painful. I have never had a cut or a bruise that hurt as badly as these burns did on our hands. So today and every day we'll be wearing gloves, and they tend to get wet with the concrete if you're as hands-on as I am, and so I'll probably go through a couple pairs with this big of a project. I'm getting set up. I've got two big buckets here. You can get them from Menards, Home Depot, or wherever. I'm a Menards girl, as you can tell. So I got one bucket about half full with water so I can rinse off the drill that I'm using to mix up the concrete. And then when you mix up the concrete, you want to start with a little bit of water in your bucket, and then you add a little bit of the concrete, you mix it, you add some water, you kind of go back and forth until you get a mixture that looks a little bit like, I don't know, has the consistency of like a thick frosting, maybe would be a good way to describe it. I'll show you a picture of what that looks like when we get there. Okay, so I promised a consistency example for you guys. I found it was really hard for me to figure out what the right consistency was when I was watching YouTube videos for this, and so basically you keep adding water and the concrete mix until you get a consistency kind of like this, where if you pick some up on your trowel here, it kind of shakes off, but it kind of sticks to the trowel. So there's a little example of what the consistency should be like. So we've made some progress today. Turns out it's a lot easier to do stone in the sunlight than in the rain. Gonna be real. Okay, checking back in. Again, a lot easier to work in the sunshine than it is in the rain. But these corners are kicking my butt. It's taking me a little bit of putsy time to get them up, but slow and steady wins the race. So plugging away again. This is day 3 that I've been working on this, although they've been all work days, and so I haven't gotten started typically until after 5 o'clock. Then I work until I can't see anything. But we're making some progress here. respected my own advice, and as you can see, I now have a burn on my finger. Yeah, that is what a chemical burn looks like.
Okay, it's day 579 of this project. Okay, really it's more like day 14, 10? I don't know. Feels like I've been doing this my entire life now. Finished up this wall this morning. Had to do a lot of grouting, which is putsy work, but important. Obviously it, holds everything in, and it makes it endure longer. Plus I had some pretty big gaps between my stones intentionally because I think that looks a little more rustic, and so it finished off the look. You can't see the brick anymore. But it did take a while, so that's done. And I'm moving on to my next step, which is our entryway here. So we'll see how long this takes me. Trying to give myself a pep talk so that I have the energy to keep going. So much stone! I'm taking a little break from my stone installation project to impart some wisdom that I have learned along the way. So a couple things I want to tell you guys. A, as I mentioned before, wear gloves. And if your gloves start to wear out, get new gloves because you do not want to deal with chemical burns. I don't always take my own advice. I should, but I don't. And so heed this warning. You want to wear gloves. Second thing I want to tell you is that you want to start installing your stone from the top of your wall and work your way down. And there are a couple of reasons for this. The first reason is that when you squish that stone and concrete mix up against the wall to get it to adhere, concrete seeps out from the back and drops down. Now you want to have a drop cloth underneath so it's easy to clean up. Just painter's plastic works awesome. But if there are stones underneath it, the concrete drops onto the stones, and sometimes it gets on the face of the stone and it just really messes with the look. So you want to start at the top and work your way down for that reason. The second reason is because sometimes you just don't get a good enough adherence, and you think you did, but you didn't. And so you put the stone on and then it falls. And if it's got stones below it, sometimes it falls and it does a domino effect. And nothing is so disheartening in a project as when one stone falling knocks down 6 stones below it. So, one more good reason to start at the top and work your way down. The next piece of wisdom I have to share is with regard to grouting. So I like a thick grout line. I think it's a little more rustic look. It's just the look that I like. Some people like it thinner, more stacked stone look. Totally get it. But when you're grouting, if you are using this stone mortar mix that I recommend from Menards, you want to use the same stone mortar mix but make it thinner than what you would have used to adhere the stone to the wall, because you're going to fill a grout bag. It's like a frosting bag, like a piping bag, and you fill it up and you twist it and you squeeze it through all the cracks. But if it is too thick, it is a serious workout to try and fill all of the cracks with this mortar mix. And so what you want to do is thin it down enough that it squeezes easily out of the grout bag. You can kind of test it into your 5-gallon pail, and if it squeezes out easily, great. You don't want it to be too runny or it will pour out and it will drip down the face of your stones. It won't, stick inside the cracks, but you want it to be runny enough that it squeezes out really easily.
So I took videos along the way, but now I want to show a video of how it all looks at the end. I have some before and after pictures and in progress videos, but I did all the way around these 3 garage doors, and then this mega wall over here that took 100 years. Okay, it was more like a week and a half maybe of steady work, but this mega wall took a while, and you can see it's also in that corner there, in that little nook. And then over here we did the front entry. By we, I mean I did. Oh, I don't like seeing my reflection in the window. But here is the accent piece around the front door, and then we've got this long stretch here. Now I'm just going to point out that this was an experiment that I do not like. This right here. So we were just testing. The corner pieces weren't going to work. There are corner piece stones, but they weren't going to work here because of where the gutter was placed and how far it would come out, and I just wasn't a fan of how it would end up looking, especially down at the bottom where the gutter runs alongside the house. And so this was a test run. We didn't like it. Over here we did a similar thing, except for we added a piece of wood here as the trim, and that is what is going to happen on this section of the wall. Just has not happened yet. You know, sometimes you take projects 99.9% of the way and you got that 0.01% left to go. So this is my 0.01%. But this method of doing grout on the edge works, in my opinion, with smaller grout edges.